Welcome to a Leader's Journey podcast. I'm your host, Joel Gunn.
Today, I have a new friend with me, Brandon West. Brandon and I know each other more or less through C12. That's where I first got to meet him. We've not got to spend a lot of time together, but Brandon, I'm so excited that you're on the show. You've got an incredible bio. You're a man of passion. You've got just love life. I can tell what little bit I've hung around you. But introduce yourself to the audience briefly, and then I want to kick off with the leadership question.
Yeah. Joel, such a pleasure, man, to be with you. Really excited about our time together. My name is Brandon West. I am the Chief Purpose Officer and founder of a digital marketing agency called PHOS Creative. We're headquartered in Gainesville, Florida. Lots of things going on with the Gators right now that I really know nothing about because I'm not a sports guy. But we love Gainesville. The business has been in existence for 12 years. We've got about 24 FTEs on the team, and we run our business as a ministry. Our mission at PHOS is to cultivate true flourishing in people and organizations while reflecting the love of Jesus to the world. And we have this really cool vision to launch 100 care centers around the world that care for women and children impacted by extreme poverty and sex trafficking. We just launched our 41st care center in 18 different countries, serving over 6,500 women and children. And it's crazy because we're doing business as a ministry. We are helping clients to grow trust and awareness online through branding and digital marketing while using profits to fund this really cool vision around the world.
You know, I thought I was going to jump into something else, but you just intrigued me with that. These care centers for victims of sex trafficking. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Here's what I'm passionate about. I think that business and leadership is really hard. It is often disappointing. People abandon you. Profits are hard to have consistently. Operational challenges, revenue generation difficulties, like across the board. Business and entrepreneurship is so hard. On the hardest days, I think the question for us as leaders is like, what's going to get you out of bed the next day? Truth is, Warren Buffett's like just another dollar, like isn't good enough on the hardest days. And I think what leaders who are driven by purpose have an opportunity to do for themselves and for their people is to create a reason for running a business that is bigger and better than just an up and to the right chart and P&L. And for me, what we've decided is that we want to care for the most vulnerable through our business. I think it starts any level of care or purpose or ministry in a company has to start with the people who live inside of it first, the people who work for that entity first. It would be really disappointing to say, we do a really good job of caring for people around the world, and then your people are like, what about us?
Mm-hmm.
So for our mission starts with cultivating true flourishing in people and organizations. That starts with the people who work for us, their families, then our clients, then our vendors, then our local and global community. But for us, in caring for the most vulnerable outside of this company, we've done a lot of deep diving in the Psalms this morning. The heart of man is deep. And I'm like, we've gone really deep into just like our heart as a company, our heart as an executive team that leads this whole entity, and just going, who's our who? Who is our who? If we run this business as a ministry, who's our who? One of my mentors along the way challenged me, like, if you ask any nonprofit in the world, who's your who? They'll tell you immediately, we serve the homeless, we serve pregnant women, fill in the blank. You ask a business that says that they function as a ministry, who's your who? And they're like, everyone, the world. Okay. We tried to narrow it down and go, really, who's God calling us to? And women who have been impacted by sex trafficking and children who are in extreme poverty have really sat at the center of that for us. We have a lot of wakes in our past from this boat that's been driving through the ocean. And those wakes have most often flowed in the direction of those two groups of people. And so we've just committed ourselves to it. Years ago, we set this big vision. We want to launch North Central Florida's first ever sex trafficking safe house. I threw that out at a strategic planning meeting to my executive team, and they were like, visionaries go vision. Okay, Brandon, we'll write that down. We'll see. And then a year later, we were standing outside of our studio, dropping the keys to the first ever sex trafficking safe house in North Central Florida into the executive director's hands and taking pictures of that to celebrate that moment. And I just remember thinking, what other God-sized dreams am I sleeping on, believing that these two and too much for the Lord to
Mhm.
see completion. And so we were like, let's be crazy. Let's do 5. And then the next year we did 3 more. And we're like, we're still dreaming way too small. And we set a vision for doing 30 by 2030. And then 6 months ago in March of 2025, we launched 10,000 pieces of confetti all across the studio, celebrating the launch of our 37th care center in 18 countries. And again, we were like, we gotta go big. And so now we reset it as 100 care centers by 2030. And we started this donor advised fund that other people have hopped in on. The vast majority of the dollars now at this point that have been given towards this effort have been outside of PHOS. We give away 50% of our profit to go fund this, but other leaders around the world, some competitors of mine, have been raising their hand. Oh, it sounds so cool. I want in on this. Can I hop in? And leaders all around the world are hopping in with our donor advised fund and
Wow.
helping fund these care centers all around the world. It's super cool to see, man. It's really humbling, especially in times if you don't have profit, to still see God funding this vision through other people. It's really humbling, pretty exciting.
It sounds like guys did the tough work of really soul searching. What was that opportunity, that ministry, that need that you could serve? What was that process like? How did you guys? There's so many things you could have done, right? You could have gone to the homeless. You could have gone to the people having mental challenges. I mean, there's just so many opportunities out there. Water wells and teaching, financial literacy to people on the street, and there's just so many things. How did you guys wrestle with where to put your focus, or was there something, a story, behind that?
Yeah. The first activity I ever ran with my team to help us really discover purpose, I created a list of every single area of brokenness that I could possibly imagine, from the elderly to herding penguins and like everything that I could possibly think of. It was 18 pages worth of different causes and brokenness. And I sat my team down and I said, hey, for the next 20 minutes, I just want you to read through this. And I want you to put a check mark next to any one of these things that if you sat here long enough and thought about this brokenness might cause you to weep right here in this conference room. The question that we were mining for is what breaks your heart? What
Mhm.
breaks your heart? One pastor teacher along the way, he said that purpose is found at the intersection of a broken heart, opportunity, and skill. What breaks your heart? Where do you see brokenness that you actually can invest in? Where do you have skills and resources that you can bring to this fight? Purpose is found at the intersection of a broken heart, opportunity, and skills. That was the first thing that we did. And we took all those results and we aggregated them together. And we said, here's the 5 things that PHOS is really passionate about based on its current people. As we pursued that for many years, there came a point where I remember watching a video. It was actually a C12 video. And Joel, I know you used to be involved in C12. It was a C12 video about a man who had named this product after this proverb that he was reading. And the question that he got from this proverb, the question he was asking himself as he read the scripture, was about vision, but not the typical visionary question. I feel like the typical visionary question is, what new thing am I going to do? What new thing? And I want to head in a new direction. No, he was like, what fields have we sown in the past that God might be inviting us back into to replant and to re-sow seeds? And so, in pursuit of what was next, it wasn't something new. It was actually about reinvesting in something old. And the 2 groups that God clearly laid on the heart of my executive team was women in extreme poverty, women impacted by sex trafficking, and children in extreme poverty. And we just went, let's go back and invest in that field again. What might God have? And that's when I threw out that big idea of the first ever sex trafficking safe house in Florida. So I think that question, what breaks your heart? Where's their opportunity? Where's their skill? But then going, hey, what is my team passionate about? Because last thing I want is just come up with some idea and be like, get on board with this. How do you galvanize people around this? But then I think a really fun question is going, where are the fields that we've sown in the past that God might invite you back into? Where have you seen fruit and effectiveness and joy come from the pursuit of the vulnerable that you've had in the past, either through time, treasure, or talent, wherever you invested that, wherever you've sown that, wherever you reaped a harvest, that God might be calling you deeper and more acutely into. I think it's easy to go, we support 15 different nonprofits. And I was like, yeah, you're not pushing the needle on any of their else with the amount of money you're giving across that. Like, maybe we can dial it down. We choose one local and one international nonprofit. That's it. One local, one national. And we give our time, our talent, our treasure, and our brand identity to them. Like, we will push you to serve you. There's maybe other people that we give a little bit of time, a little bit of talent, a little treasure, but it's like two. That's it. One local, one global.
Yeah, I love that. I know probably 20 plus years ago, a mentor and a family friend at the time, he felt very strongly about giving strategically and giving large into a ministry that he was passionate about. And he was one of the first people I heard because I grew up, in those churches. You walk down the hallways and there's the world map and there's 57 pins, all over the world. They're sent at $25 here and $50 here and $100 there. And look at our global reach, and that was the fad. And so I think that what you've realized, that intentional focus, one local, one international, um, is huge. And I think it does, it's maybe a little harder to get there, right? It's easy to write the $100 check to 50 organizations over the year, but to really pick one that you can partner with, that you believe in, that you're passionate about, that takes a lot more work, a lot more soul search, a lot more, especially in your environment. You wanted it to be a team owned, a team felt thing, right? You didn't want to mandate it from on high, and this is who we're going to go after. And so it takes a lot more work than just, hey, send a check to so and so, tell your controller or your accountant, write a few checks this year.
And
And
it's so right.
bravo to you for doing the hard work.
I think this is one of those places in leadership where the hard work is so worth it. And in the context of what is it called? Like the Eisenhower 2x2, like important versus urgent. Like you could argue for it being mildly important and definitely not urgent. And so it's like, I feel like purpose is one of those things. It's like, ain't nobody got time for that. But that work is so good. It's so useful because at the end of the day, I don't know if you've ever seen this GIF before of the cat like sitting at the computer, and it's this cat, and the cat's like banging its hands on the keyboard, and it's just like and like that is work for most people every day. It's like, I come in, I'm the cat, I bang on the keyboard, I clock out. I come in the next day, I bang on the keyboard, I clock out. Like, I've been so moved by just some of the different like portrayals of work in the media over the last few years. The number one most watched, most streamed television show in all of Apple TV's history is a show about people who can forget that they're going to work every day. They just, when they go down an elevator, they switch over into a different mode. They're a different person at work. They forget all their life. They come up, and when they come out of the elevator, it's as if no time has passed, because the last thing I want to remember is that I had to work all day. Most people hate work. And I think for us, you want to be an attractive employer, you want a better recruitment strategy, you want to be a leader who in eternity is going to be told, well done, good and faithful servant. You want to have a reason to get out of bed tomorrow on the hardest day of the year. Like, let's construct something inside a business that's worth working for, that is better than just the next good quarterly report. Um, we've begun to take our people now overseas. We do vision trips overseas with Compassion International to go see some of these care centers that we've funded. And I'm able to, like, when we're walking into the home of a family who has a child in extreme poverty and seeing what extreme poverty looks like, and translators translating conversations with this family, we're seeing that poverty is not just financial, it's relational, it's sociological, it's spiritual, it's relational, it's marital. Like, for me to be able to walk back in on Monday morning with the people who went there and the people who didn't, and show them pictures and video and go, hey, when you bang on the keyboard this week, this is what's going to happen. Women and children get to go free from extreme poverty and sex trafficking. That's amazing.
You talked about how you go over and you're taking some of your team over. That really, my experience has been when I go, whether that be across the border into Mexico, there's, poverty, 3 hours, I could be across the border. Well, depending on how long it takes to get through the border, but I can get to the border in 3 hours. And just on the other side of the border, there's lots of opportunity there. I've also been, to Africa and seen children literally living in the trash yards, the trash heaps. And I don't know about you, but I come back to America going, wow, my house is too big. I have too many pair of shoes. I got too many clothes. I got just too much, right? It not only is it a blessing to those people we go to serve, but I come back blessed, just resetting, just how grateful I am for what God's given me. And even when I look back at my life when I've had little, right? It's so much more than 90% of the world has. And it just resets my gratitude, and it makes me realize I don't need all those things. I can give more of what I've been blessed with, right? And it resets my perspective of I really am more of a consumer than I need to be. I already share, but I can share more. I can give more, and it becomes a heart thing for me. Um, and I think it's brilliant, that you're taking your team to have these experiences because there's just so much psychology around that, right? Doing things together as a team, having these experiences together. But I think the greater thing is it's just exposing them to the rest of the world is not as protected as we are, in Texas or Florida. And they don't have all the lavish lifestyle that we do, relatively speaking. And so and there's bonding that goes on, right? Like the people that you go on these trips with, it's a different experience than the people you've not gone on these trips with, I suspect.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you're talking about kind of the personal impacts of things like this. I think one of the things the Lord's really grown me in the past few years and challenged me in is in the area of generosity. It is what is it called? The reverse cultural shock when you get back into the States after something like that. I think one of the principles that we've tried to live by and I've been really challenged by is this idea of a lifestyle distinction, that for a leader who truly wants to pursue generosity, that they live a distinct lifestyle from the friends around them. I've been challenged by men like Randy Alcorn, who wrote The Treasure Principle and Money, Possessions, and Eternity, that the only stories we typically tell in this life are the ones of when people come over to our house. Oh, come and check out this new room that I just remodeled. Oh, check out this new furniture we just got. Oh, check out this new cool car that this new toy. We're about to build a new home. We just got this new thing. I bought a jet, whatever it is. Like those are the stories we love telling people. And what I think is so interesting is like generosity is contagious.
Hmm.
And yet they're the stories that we feel the most incapable or most insecure about talking about.
Mm.
And I think I've been challenged by Randy Alcorn's take on this whole idea of like, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. PHOS doesn't go out there and like post dollars on how much money we've given away. But man, do we love to tell the story of what God's doing with these care centers and go, anybody want in? And all of a sudden people are going,
Yeah.
I'll jump in on this. It's like generosity is contagious. And yet the only stories we love telling people are what we spend money on, not when we give it away. And I think if we live this lifestyle distinction, I do things differently. I give differently. I'm not just a tither. I'm not just a generous giver. Like I'm a sacrificial. Like I want to live a different lifestyle. I want to invest in different things. I want to value things differently than the friends around me, the leaders around me. Like I see them doing this. I'm going to go this way. And then when we begin to say, hey, here's what God's doing in pursuit of those things, people are like, wow, I kind of want to jump in on that. Maybe God would use me to do more. And I think that's a really fun story we get to tell as leaders.
As you shared that, I had a thought of Abraham, and it says one of the reasons God chose him was because he knew he loved to tell stories, that he would tell his kids stories and encourage them to tell stories. And I think we've lost the art of telling a good story. And to your point, we usually, if we do tell a story, it's about the new thing I got, right? Versus, man, in my quiet time this morning, you wouldn't believe what I processed. Or, hey, the other day there was this lady on the street and we just had felt compelled to pull over. And, my wife sat with her for a little bit and got to know her. And we don't tell those stories, right? And shame on us. I mean, in a good way, right? We can reflect on this moment of this conversation, and then we can go do something different about it, right? As we're gathering for the holidays, a lot of people come together and look for an excuse to share something beyond just a thing you got.
Mm, yeah, so
Great
good.
reminder, buddy. Thank you for that.
I think for me, what I've found is the reason that I struggle to be a good storyteller is I can't remember any of them.
Ah,
There was a friend of mine. I haven't read this book, but he told me about this book, told me about this principle. I'm like, oh, it's so good. There's a book called Storyworthy. It's a principle, it's a practice, it's a rhythm. Just simply at the end of the day, just going, what was story worthy from today? And it's not like if you're not used to journaling, it's not like, okay, go sit down and write 5 paragraphs. Like, "Ugh, I don't have time for that." It's like, could you write down just like 2 sentences about that story? Like enough that if you read it a year from now, you'll remember like, oh, that was really cool. So I just have this little white tag at the top of my bed, and it just says story worthy to remind me as I get in bed, like, hey, what was story worthy from today? The more I
interesting.
catalog those, the more they're sitting right there. And then you get the
Mhm.
the practice of the forgetting curve where it's like you learn something, it's like 3 days later you don't remember it. But if you learn something and within 24 hours you share it, within 24 hours you share it, your ability to lift that forgetting curve increases to like a 70% chance that the things that you learn you will retain. One of my mentors, the guy who mentored him, had a practice when he would read his Bible. He would just ask, God, as I read today, give me something for me and give me something for someone else.
Mm,
He said sometimes he would answer one of those, and on rare days, he'd answer both. Give me something for me and something for somebody else. I love that practice. And then if we can get in that
yeah.
rhythm of what are you teaching me? And then I'm sharing it with others. Now we're lifting that forgetting curve. We're investing in here's what God taught me. Here's what and now we become a storyteller and we can be more just aware, just our eyes open to what God's doing and what stories I might have for me and for other people as well.
Brandon, that's really good. We we tend to be such a forgetful people,
Mm,
right? We get caught up in the moment and the glory of that moment or the defeat of that moment, and then we just go on, and we rarely look back and reflect in a way that serves even our own soul, let alone others.
yes. I think so many times. Remember, like communion is like, remember, this year we do really intentional, thoughtful gifts for all of our clients every Christmas. They're all custom made, hand like really cool. This year we've handcrafted this beautiful black box. The whole theme is black and white. When you open it up, it has this beautiful design on the inside and it says he has remembered us. And a great verse from John, from where I'm forgetting from Isaiah, a great light has dawned among the people. And you look in this box, it's all black and white. We have this black and white candle that we've had crafted by sex trafficking survivors. And we designed this custom label on it that says remembrance. And this little black and white matches box that says rejoice. And then these BAM cards that we've created. This has a ministry cards, one for every month that has a question. So that when we come in every day, we've got some question to ask ourselves. This December is how can I be more of a warm and life giving presence today? The whole thing is just about remembering. Like, let's remember. And I wrote this 2-page letter that's sitting inside for all of our clients to read, and it remembers this year and some of the big things we've done this year to remember. We have this giant light wall in the front of PHOS. It's 10 feet wide, 5 feet tall, a couple inches deep, and it has 287 light bulb sockets in it that spells out the word light because PHOS is the Greek word for light. And every single time a mission moment happens in the company, the whole team gathers in the lobby, and the person who's most closely attached to that mission moment comes up, turns on, screws in a light bulb. We clap, shout, celebrate. They come and they sign this journal underneath that enumerates what was the bulb number, what was the date, what was the mission moment, just to help us remember. This year, we completed the light wall after 4 years of chasing that and had this big party. It was a 9-course meal that we hosted at a friend's house. And in between every single one of the courses, I had one of our team members stand up and share a story of one of the light bulbs that had turned on. And one by one, we went up and we lit this 9-candle menorah. I talked about the Feast of Booths and Sukkot in Jewish history, where it was this feasting and like the season's over, the agriculture, God has provided, God's been faithful. And They would pour water to celebrate. They would light a menorah. So this was us like going, hey, God, like you've done it. You've shown up. The harvest has been plentiful. And we're going to celebrate and eat and feast and remember. Remembering is such an important thing to do. And we just do it. Because it requires so much intentionality. But man, to be a leader that helps your people remember, that's a powerful leadership move.
It is. Brandon, I have absolutely loved this conversation. If you're open to it, I'd like to invite you back. I know you wrote a book. I'd like to dive into that one of these days. I think we could probably find several things to talk about. But thank you so much for your time today. And this idea of remembering couldn't come at a better time. I'll have to talk to our editor, but I'm hoping to get your show on the air this week or next. And it's great timing with the holidays. It's a great opportunity to remember the good things of life.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a remembrance. And our traditions and our rhythms and our leadership in our homes at Christmas, at holidays, they're all time machines that allow us to look backwards and go, what has God done? And so you're so right. This season, Christmas itself is a time machine. It's a remembrance rhythm to go, look what God has done. He has not forgotten us. He has remembered us, and a great light has shown.
God is good. Brandon, thank you again, brother. You've been a blessing in this moment, and I'm excited to share this with our audience. And Merry Christmas.
Bye, Joel.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of A Leader's Journey podcast. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to our channel.